Good morning. I am Tom Connor, pronouns he, him, and it is my honor to be in the pulpit today as worship associate with the Reverend Dara Bryans. We gratefully acknowledge the Patuxet Wampanoag people on whose ancestral lands we gather today. We commit to support and honor their history and culture. We welcome all of you, members and friends and newcomers alike, whoever you are, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, whatever your age, young or older. For this 1 hour, you are part of this congregation, and you are welcome. Everyone is invited to coffee hour following the service in the assembly hall through the door right over there. And for those who are visiting, we suggest that you take a red mug so that we could recognize that you're new, and we will offer a warm First Parish greeting. And then, as just to lift up a couple of announcements, let's see, we've got, did you say new to you? There's new to you after the service. I think it's going to be at noon. We're not sure exactly the time, but it'll be announced 11:30. Okay, so look for that. Also, there's going to be an event at the Cedar Hill Retreat Center. They're going to have an event called Beauty of New England Marine Life with Andrew J. Martinez. It's going to be on April 10, and there's more information about this in the parish distribution, and also there's a flyer showing about this in the parlor on your way through to coffee hour. And then the final thing I wanted to highlight was the stewardship drive is going on right now, and we thank you very much to all the families who have pledged so far. We've got about a third of the pledging units who have made a pledge, and so thank you for that. We're looking for everybody to finish pledging, and there's a flyer in your order of service that tells you a little bit more about it. And there's plenty of ways to find out more, either by going to the table in coffee hour, reading email distributions information. You can get your pledge in several different ways too, online, emailing Amy Hamilton. So plenty of information about stewardship, and looking for your pledge if you haven't done it yet. And I think that's it for announcements. Let's see, what am I doing next? Get organized here. That's it.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dara Bryans. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the minister here at First Parish Church in Duxbury. And it is so good to be in community with all of you this morning. I just want to ask, is anybody feeling the losing an hour of sleep as much as I am? Yeah, it's hitting me right now, so I'll try to stay awake during the service. Our opening words come from UU minister Reverend Linda Susan Ulrich. It's called Begin Your Journey Home. Come now, all who are broken and cracked. Come to the place where your scattered pieces are the raw materials of mosaic and kintsugi. Here you will find welcome among the armless dolls and cozy pilled sweaters, loved exactly as they are. Come now, all who are thirsty and burned. Come to the place where cool waters and aloe soothe your bedraggled soul. Drink your fill and salve your skin. Then fill your canteen and return once again to the struggle, knowing the well will remain unobstructed. Come now, all who long for the stars, come to the place where that vision of infinity is written upon people's hearts. Hold it until you've memorized the way. Set your compass to the point towards hope and begin your journey home. Welcome. Like to invite you all to rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn, which is called Come, Come, Whoever You Are. The lyrics to this hymn were written by Rumi, who was a 13th century Persian Sufi poet. Please join in singing. Sophie is going to help lead us in a round.
Good morning, everyone. So anyone on this side of the congregation is going to just sing the whole tune all the way through. And everyone on this side is going to follow me. We're going to sing with them.
Your vows 1,000 times. Come, come, whoever you are. I feel like that ties so much into our UU values that all are welcome here, and no matter how many times you mess up, you are still welcome back here. Now, I would like to invite our ushers to come up and join in lighting our chalice, leading us in saying the words that we say each week, and in leading us in our doxology.
Let this flame be to us a symbol of the wholeness we seek.
Its brightness the sowing bloom, lighting a path to faith and hope.
Its glow reminding us of the sacred bonds that link us to all living things.
Its radiance calling us to pass the light of freedom, justice, and peace on all the world. Settled, join in singing hymn 118, This Little Light of Mine, as our children head off to their religious exploration classes.
I'm gonna let it shine.
testimonial on thriving together.
Good morning, I'm Mary Flanagan. My pronouns are she and her. I'm going to just speak a little bit about how First Parish has helped me and my family thrive. 40 years ago, my husband and I walked into First Parish, and we were looking for a church for our children, but we found much more than that. From the very first Sunday, when our children were welcomed with open arms, and my husband and I heard a sermon that really made us think, we sensed we had found a spiritual home here. So what is it about First Parish that has deepened that connection for me over time? It comes down to the gifts this community has given. One of the greatest gifts is the deep respect for the difference of beliefs that distinguishes Unitarian Universalism. As someone who considers herself a humanist, I treasure that in this sanctuary I might be sitting next to a Christian, an agnostic, a Jew, an atheist. We don't have to think alike to pursue our spiritual lives side by side. And connection for me goes deeper than Sunday mornings. Through participating in small groups over the years, sharing honestly, listening deeply, I have formed bonds that have enriched me in my life. Social justice initiatives here at First Parish help me to truly live my values. I will never forget being in Washington, D.C. in 2017 at the Women's March, surrounded by First Parish stalwarts. I've also appreciated the gift of learning from others in this community. Years ago, a young adult member spoke at a service about what it is like to be transgender. I had no idea at the time how important that education would become for me personally. One of my grandchildren identified from a very young age as transgender. Because of what I had learned here, I was better able to support my grandchild fully. And then there are the simple practices of caring and being cared for. I've had the great joy of making visits, driving people to the doctors, bringing casseroles in times of need. Now, as my husband's health has become poor, that same kind of kindness has been returned to us. Cards, visits, sincere words of support, and yes, casseroles. It feels as though people are holding us in their hearts. For 4 decades, First Parish has been here for me, never telling me what to believe, encouraging me to live my values. For all of those gifts, for the growth, the learning, the love, for all of that, I am profoundly grateful. Thank you.
Each week, we lift up the joys and concerns we carry with us into the sanctuary, recognizing that a joy shared in loving community is a joy amplified. And in sharing our concerns with one another, we lay these burdens down to be held, even if only for a moment, by this community. For those joining us online, if you have a joy, concern, or care for our world to share with this community, please email it to revdara@uudux.org by Saturday night, and it will be read aloud along with those submitted by folks here in the building. This morning, we do not have any written joys submitted. But we will light this candle for all the joys. For all the joys shared, we will light a candle. And this morning, we have some concerns to share from Liz Connors. She shares that Lori Eldridge died on Friday of pancreatic cancer, and asked that we think of her family and Natalie, and at this time, and Natalie and Mark. I'm sorry. Lori Eldridge has died on Friday on pancreatic cancer, and we're thinking of her family, Natalie and Mark, at this time, and Natalie and Mark and their children. And from Rev Dara, this is a concern for her dog Percy, who hurt his leg, and we're seeing the vet this week. So we'll hold that in their hearts. And for all of these concerns shared, we light a candle. And we don't have any submitted shares for the world, but I'm sure that we're all continuing to share a deep concern for the world over the escalating war and complication and damage going on in Iran that's making everything worse. So for those cares for the world, we light a candle. And we light a final candle for all the joys, concerns, and cares for our world deeply felt but not yet spoken.
Our prayer this morning is called A Prayer for Our Nation, and it was written by African-American UU minister Reverend Ade Amakraba. And as we prepare to enter into our time of prayer and contemplation, I'd like to remind you that you are welcome to bring your understanding to this practice in a way that makes it meaningful for you. So let us center ourselves now in this moment. Breathe in the peace and ground yourself here and now, in this present moment. Feel the seat supporting you, and breathe. Simply breathe. Please join me in the spirit of prayer. God, known by many names and of no name, Holy One, it's in sorrow that I implore your intercession in removing the darkness that has descended upon this land. Heartbroken and filled with pain, we are on the precipice of descending into our lowest form of baseness in despair. Lift the veil of hatred, envy, and confusion that clouds our judgment. Give us the clarity needed to remember that the essence of your love and light resides in each of us. Divine One, it is through faith and by grace that we have survived the suffering and despair thrust upon us. Strengthen our resolve to work for justice and healing in a land filled with broken people. Help us to find hope amidst our perceived hopelessness. Refresh and restore our spirits with renewed vigor. Give us courage to get up as well as to fall down again and again. From my heart to yours, may it be so. Amen.
Our reading this morning is excerpted from chapter 1 in the book, The Tears of All Things by White Franciscan friar and ecumenical teacher Richard Rohr. In the first book of Virgil's Aeneid, line 462, the hero Aeneas gazes at the mural that depicts a battle of the Trojan War and the deaths of his friends and countrymen. He is so moved with sorrow at the tragedy of it all that he speaks of the tears of all things, lacrimae rerum. As Seamus Heaney translates it, there are tears at the heart of things, at the heart of our human experience. Only tears can move both Aeneas and us beyond our deserved and paralyzing anger at evil, death, and injustice without losing the deep legitimacy of that anger. There is an inherent sadness and tragedy in almost all situations, in our relationships, our mistakes, our failures large and small, even our victories. We must develop a very real empathy for this reality, knowing that we cannot fully fix things, entirely change them, or make them to our liking. This way of tears and the deep vulnerability that it expresses is opposed to our normal ways of seeking control through willpower, commandment, force, retribution, and violence. Instead, we begin in a state of empathy with and for things and people and events, which just might be the opposite of judgmentalism. It is hard to be on the attack when you are weeping. Prophets and mystics recognize what most of us do not, that all things have tears and all things deserve tears. They know that grief and sadness are doorways to understanding life in a non-egocentric way. Tears come from both awe and empathy, and they generate even deeper awe and deeper empathy in us. Over time, the Hebrew prophets came to see a profound connection between sadness and anger. It was what converted them to a level of truth-telling that is deeply and forever true. They first needed to get angry at injustices, oppression, and war. Anger can be deserved and even virtuous, particularly when it motivates us to begin seeking a necessary change. But only until sunset, Paul says in Ephesians 4:26. If we stay with our rage and resentment too long, we will righteously and unthinkingly pass on the hurt in ever new directions, and we will injure our own souls in ways we don't even recognize. Here ends our reading.
I have a fear we're going to be hearing a lot more from Richard Rohr. I've been a bit on a tear with his books. Now is the time in our service where we receive the morning's offering. The monies that you all give go to support the life and work of this church and our congregation. We support our church as centuries of our ancestors have done the same. I invite you to give as generously as you are able, and if the ushers would please come forward.
touch the earth and bring good. My grandmothers were strong. My grandmothers were strong. They were full of sturdiness and singing, 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 singing. My grandmothers are strong. My grandmothers are full of memories. My grandmothers are full of memories. Smelling of soap and onions and white clay, with veins rolling roughly over quick hands. They have many clean words to say. They have many clean words to say. My grandmothers were strong. My grandmothers were strong. My grandmothers were strong. Why am I not as they?
So March is Women's History Month, and this Sunday is the time when International Women's Day, it's the closest to the day that we celebrate International Women's Day. And I want to thank Sophie for that piece of music. It was really beautiful, and it captures what our service today is supposed to be about. So 3 years ago, on a Sunday marked as International Women's Day, a day like today, I offered a sermon about Mahsa Amini. Mahsa was a young woman in Iran, part of the Kurdish minority, and she had just been accepted to study law at the university. She had so much to live for, a young woman on the cusp of her life. But Mahsa and her parents had traveled to Tehran to visit her brother who was at the university there. And as she was coming up out of a subway station, she was arrested by the morality police, accused of wearing her hijab improperly. Or perhaps it was for dressing inappropriately, as she was wearing skinny jeans underneath her black covering. Whatever the reason, she was grabbed off the street and taken into custody. By the time she got to the police station, she was stumbling and disoriented, and she fell to the ground unconscious. At the hospital, Mahsa Amini never regained consciousness, and while the government reported that she had died of natural causes, it soon became clear that she had been severely beaten in the van on the way to the police station. Her death sparked an uprising in Iran. Women took to the streets in protest, burning their hijabs, waving their burning hijabs like flags of freedom, calling for the end to the brutal repression of women under the Iranian Islamic government. Protests soon spread, beyond young women to university students and laborers and men and women together, all were crying out that we are Masa, because when living under a repressive regime, no one is safe. Prophets and mystics recognized what most of us do not, that all things have tears, and all things deserve tears. They know that grief and sadness are doorways to understanding life. Richard Rohr, in the introduction to the book from which our reading came, explains the role of the prophet in the Hebrew Bible and the Christian scripture. These prophets call out the powerful, including both religious and secular leaders and their power structures, calling them out for the ways in which they break laws as well as moral, ethical, and cultural norms. The scriptural stories about these biblical prophets always begin with the prophet's righteous anger, calling for God's retribution against the leaders and the power structures. They seek to disrupt the status quo. Their passion for reform burns hot and angry. Rohr describes an important arc, though, in the prophet's trajectory that takes them from this hot anger on a path of sadness and grief to repair and justice, a return to covenant and right relationship with their God and with one another. This arc that spans from disruption and anger against power structures comes to empathy and compassion for those who've been harmed, and it shifts the focus from disruption to transformation and healing. These are tears. There are tears at the heart of things, at the heart of our human experience. And at the height of that arc, the force that begins to bend it down toward justice and repair are our tears. Sadness at the state of the world and empathy for the human condition. It is hard to be on the attack when you are weeping. At the time of Mahsa Amini's death and the subsequent protests, anger burned as bright as the flaming hijabs. The ritual burning was a reclaiming of the inherent worth and dignity of every woman, a claiming of their value as human beings. And burning these headscarves symbolized the ultimate disruption of a repressive system. Prophets know that we first need to get angry at the injustice and oppression and war. Anger can be deserved and even virtuous, particularly when it motivates us to begin seeking a necessary change. But prophets also know that grief and sadness are doorways to understanding life. Over time, the focus of why the people of Iran were rising up shifted. It shifted from anger at the evil, at the injustice and the oppression, and it came to compassion for those who were harmed. It transformed into hope that the Iranian government could become more open and more caring and more compassionate. Shervin Hajipour, an Iranian musician, composed a song that became the anthem for this uprising. The lyrics for that song he took directly from Instagram posts that Iranian citizens had made as they reacted to Mahsa's death and the government's violent crackdown. The song was called Baroya. Baroya in Farsi means because of, or for, as in, we're protesting because of injustice and the oppression of women, and we are rising up, disrupting the status quo for the lives of children and boys being born today.
for dancing in our streets, for kissing your beloved in public, for students and their future, for love of the animals facing extinction, for women, for life, for liberty. Hajipur heard the anger and the deep well of sorrow in these Instagram posts, and he heard in those posts an equally deep well of compassion and empathy for a world broken but not yet beyond repair. His song reminded me of that prophet's arc, that point at which anger and rage are transformed by love and compassion into hope that bends the arc toward justice. Within that word, Baroja, the because enholds that anger because of what has been done. And the for holds the hope for the future, for our children, for our lives, and for liberty. But now we know that the truth of that uprising that began in the fall of 2022, sparked by Mahsa Amini's death, the truth is that the government's brutal crackdown led to thousands of deaths and tens of thousands being arrested and jailed. The strength and brutality of the government's response ended that uprising. But another truth about prophets is that they don't always foretell success. We must develop a very real empathy for this reality, knowing that we cannot fully fix things, entirely change them, or make them to our liking. Prophets remind us that a door exists and that change is possible. So on this Sunday, that is 3 years to the day after I first preached about Mahsa Amini, I had been planning to preach about the power of women, using Mahsa's story, among others, to highlight the need for change, the need to break down patriarchal systems that thwart the full flourishing of women and girls, reminding us that doorways have been opened. But then, a week ago, our country and Israel attacked Iran, and we killed the supreme religious leader, and we killed women and children. Israel and the U.S. have continued to bomb the police, the military, government sites, with little to no regard for the innocent people also harmed and killed. And I'm reminded that Rohr also warned us that, quote, if we stay with our rage and resentment too long, we will righteously and unthinkingly pass on the hurt in ever new directions, and we will injure our own souls in ways that we don't even recognize, end quote. It seems to me that his warning isn't only for us, each of us individually, but it's also for governments and institutions. I'm thinking particularly about the brutality of the Iranian regime that claims religious righteousness to act with violence in repressing these uprisings. And I'm thinking of our own government and its brutal treatment of immigrants, of our leaders' righteous anger at their presence here in our country. Anger that has led to the very same actions that caused the death of Mahsa Amini. And I'm thinking of our Secretary of Defense using the book of Revelation in the Christian Testament as justification for its brutal bombing in Iran. Justified because Armageddon will bring the second coming of Jesus. Never mind that Jesus' ministry was to spread love. Jesus' ministry was to care for the least among us, to return compassion when faced with anger. Anger and power have somehow led to a perversion of Jesus' message and his ministry.
And I want to point out that when anger consumes us, it harms our soul, and we are in danger of becoming what we once reviled. There are tears at the heart of things, at the heart of the human experience. This way of tears and the deep vulnerability that it expresses is opposed to our normal ways of seeking control through willpower, commandment, force, retribution, and violence. Instead, we begin in a state of empathy with and for things and people and events. I want us all to begin again in a state of empathy, that it is not only okay to weep, but it is exactly our ability to feel the whole range of human emotions of anger, yes, but also of sadness, hope, joy, love. These are what is required of us in this moment. We need to weep. We need to grieve. We need to love and to care about one another, because these emotions reconnect us with our humanity and our interdependence with one another. Weeping breaks open our hearts, reminding us that we are capable of that radical love, a radical love that can end violence, war, and oppression. As I read Rohr's book, I couldn't help but reflect that each of these prophets were just regular human beings going about their lives when they encountered injustice, hypocrisy, and the harm that these wreak on people and in their lives. And as these prophets looked around them, they were seeking somebody, anyone, please, who's in charge, who can stop this, can change things, can do something. And then they realized that there was no one, because no one else was paying attention, and that it was up to them to say and to do something. Reverend Mary Safford, a member of the Iowa Sisterhood, a group of women who were Unitarian ministers in the 1800s, said of our faith that we are not a religion of saying, that we can't just be people who simply talk about injustice. We, she said, are a religion of doing. Reverend Safford is calling us to be the prophets, to get angry, to rant, to rail, and advocate for justice, to do the galvanizing work of initiating change, because it is a necessary step. And then we need to remember that our Unitarian Universalist faith calls us to compassion, calls us to empathy, the empathy that can awaken the good that exists in every human being. The work of being a prophet, of being a part of the change that our world so badly needs right now, is what we're called to do. As we engage in the work of doing, as Reverend Safford said, may we keep our hearts tender, and may we keep them open to the way of tears, to letting go of the anger when it is time, to allow ourselves to weep, that our anger can be transformed into compassionate action. May it be so.
For the thrill and the fear of getting caught kissing, for my sister, my brother, and unity, for all the times we trying to change their minds and stale beliefs, for the loss of pride, for poverty, for the dream of just a normal life for you and me, for all the children who are starving for a loaf of bread, for the greed of politics and all the lies they spread, for all the mass polluted air we breathe, for all the litter in the streets and the dying trees, for all the animals who suffer from elimination, for all the cats and dogs who love us without no conditions, for the tears that seem to never end, for the images that keep on turning in our heads, for a simple smile to last a little while, for the future generations fighting for their time, for empty promises of heaven in the afterlife, for all the imprisonment of beautiful minds, for all the babies who were born and for the ones who died, for all the times you told the truth and all the times you lied, for all the speeches that we heard about a million times, for all the shacks and shelters that were sold to make a dime, for just a glimpse of a peaceful life, for the rising of the sun after an endless night, for all the pills we pop just to get some sleep, for all mankind and our country, for all the boys and girls who never knew equality, for woman, for life, liberty, for liberty, for
Thank you so much, Sophie. I would like to invite our ushers up to come and lead us in our chalice extinguishing, or do I have that wrong? Are we singing that? Sorry, everybody. I got the order wrong. My script is wrong. We're going to sing and then we're going to extinguish our chalice. So if you would rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn 166, Year Are Coming. Lyrics are in the gray hymnal and on our screen. ushers up to lead us in our chalice extinguishing and saying the words that we say each week, written by UU minister Reverend Elizabeth Sally Jones.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
You may be seated. My benediction for you all this morning begins with lyrics from Leonard Cohen's song called Anthem. So ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything, and that is how the light gets in. As we leave our sacred time together, may we allow our hearts to be cracked open, open to grief, open to love, open to care. May we weep with abandon, grateful for the proof of our tender hearts, capable of loving the hell out of this world. May it be so. Our service begins when our service ends. Go in peace.